Good morning, everybody. Just finished reading my daily devotional for the day. The title of it is Heavy but Hopeful. Heavy but Hopeful. The scripture text comes out of the book of Psalms, chapter 88, verse 1 through, we'll read through verse 3. But I encourage you, man, to read through the whole chapter of Psalms 88. It reads as follows. O Lord, the God who saves me, day and night I cry out before you. May my prayer come before you, turn your ear to my cry. For my soul is full of trouble, and my life draws near the grave. I am counted among those who go down to the pit. I am like a man without strength. I am set apart with the dead, like the slain who lie in the grave, whom you remember no more, who are cut off from your care. You have put me in the lowest pit, in the darkest depths. Your wrath lies heavily upon me. You have overwhelmed me with all your waves. You have taken me from my closest friends and have made me repulsive to them. I am confined and cannot escape. My eyes are dim with grief. I call to you, O Lord, every day. I spread out my hands to you. Do you show your wonders to the dead? Do those who are dead rise up and praise you? Is your love declared in the grave, your faithfulness in destruction? Are your wonders known in a place of darkness, or your righteous deeds in that land of oblivion? But I cry to you for help, O Lord. In the morning my prayer comes before you. Why, O Lord, do you reject me and hide your face from me? From my mouth I have been afflicted and close to death. From my youth I have been afflicted and close to death. I have suffered your terrors and am in despair. Your wrath has swept over me. Your terrors have destroyed me. All day long they surround me like a flood. They have completely engulfed me. You have taken my companions and loved ones from me. The darkness is my closest friend. That's all of chapter 88, man. Heavy but hopeful. Heavy but hopeful. In today's daily devotional, it was talking about a scene in Charlie Brown. Now, me and my generation, we grew up watching Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown used to be real funny, man. The things that used to happen on this show were real funny. And one of the things it was talking about, man, is if you remember Lucy, she was the one that used to always pull the football, man, out from Charlie Brown. She'd always tell him, come on, Charlie Brown, you can do it. Come on. And she would hold the football, and he would take off running with everything he had. And he swore this time he was going to kick that football. And he would go to kick the football, and she would pull the football away. And he would miss, and he would go tumbling. And he would say, good grief, all the time. Afterwards, I remember Lucy used to always have this stand for different reasons in every episode or every show. And I remember this particular time, today's daily devotional was talking about it, where she had had it up, man, for counseling. And Linus, who was her little brother, I believe, if I'm correct, came to her booth for some counseling. And he basically just told her, man, how hopeless and sad he was, man, because life was falling apart, man. He just felt empty in life. And he came and he poured out her heart to Lucy. And in one small, short statement, she basically said, get over it. Get over it. Good grief, get over it. And That's how loose he was. And a lot of times in life, man, we deal with these same situations, man, where we are heavy-hearted, man, and things are going on, man, and it seems like when it rains, it pours. And life can bombard us at times. We're dealing with the pandemic, and then all the racial tension and all the politics and the bullcrap and just the direction that the world is going in, man, with all these mass shootings. And for some of us, we're dealing with aging parents, man, who we have to watch in the twilights of their lives, man, struggle and suffer through sicknesses and diseases. And our hearts are heavy, man, because these are people that we've watched as little kids, always there to take care of us. And now we're put in the position that we have to take care of them. And it weighs heavy on our heart, man. And some of us are at the age where our health is beginning to waver a little bit, man. And we're dealing with issues that we hadn't dealt with in the past. And just with the way that everything is going, man, and the way that society is, where there doesn't seem like there's much hope or much love left in this world that we live in. We can be heavy at times. I don't know who God is talking to today, or who the psalm was talking to today, man, because when I read this whole Psalms for a reason. I read the whole chapter, man, because the whole chapter is just laced with despair and struggle and heartache and trouble and pain and discouragement. And at times life can feel that way, man. Even for us as believers, man. The mistake that a lot of people make is thinking that, I'm going to come to Christ and I'm going to become a Christian and I'm going to follow in his footsteps and I'm going to have this great relationship with God and all my problems are just going to dissolve. But the reality of it is, man, is that ain't always the truth. The truth of the matter is, man, like in the Psalms, man, we cry out to the Lord and we feel like he's not listening. We cry out to God with our prayers and our requests, and it just seems like he's not paying attention. We go through this cycle, man, of pain and anguish and heartache and hurt and struggle and all these things that go on in life, and we feel like God is nowhere to be found. And we cry out and we cry out and we cry out, and it seems like no one is there to listen. Being heavy, but hopeful. There's not much encouragement in Psalms 88, except for already knowing, man, who God is and what God is capable of. Because the first verse says, Lord, the God who saves me day and night, I cry out before you. This person who wrote this Psalms had already experienced the power of prayer and the power of crying out to God. They had been at a place in life before, man, where things were just falling apart all around them and they didn't know where to turn. And they turned to God and God heard their cry. They said, the God who saves me. That takes confidence, man, to say something like that. May my prayer come before you and turn your ear to my cry. Hopeful, heavy-hearted, hurting through the issues and troubles of life. But at the same time, hopeful that things were going to change. Hopeful that things weren't going to stay the same. Hopeful that things were going to turn around. Hopeful that things were going to get better in life. Hopeful, man, that God was going to hear their cry and turn to them and turn things around. Hopeful. See, the thing is, man, and the reality of it is, I don't serve God today because of what he did, what he does for me today. I serve God today because of the things he's already done yesterday. I serve God today because of the things he did 10 years ago. I serve God today because of the things he did 20 years ago. I serve God today because of the things he did when I was a little baby, pulling me out of the things that I was going through in life, pulling me out, man, of all the sicknesses that I went through as a young child. Today is not the first day of struggle. Today is not the first day of heartache. Today is not the first day of not knowing what's going to happen today or tomorrow. Today is not the first storm that I've had to face head on. Today is not the first time where I've had to go through some struggles in life and some issues in life. I've already been down that road. And every time I call out to the Lord hears my cry. The Lord hears my prayer. The Lord hears my plea for relief. The Lord hears my anguish. That, Lord, I need some help right now. And I'm talking to somebody out there, man, who has just lost hope because the heaviness that you feel on your heart today has drug you down into the pits. That's what this is talking about in this Psalms. He felt like he was dying. He felt like life was over. He felt like he had no hope of things getting better. And in the midst of that, he continued to hold on to God's unchanging hand because he knew that if he cried long enough, if he cried loud enough, if he stayed faithful enough, that sooner or later, God was going to come through one way or another. See, a lot of times we go to God, man, and we want him to just fix everything with the snap of a finger. We want him to turn everything around with just a snap of a finger. We want him to wave his hand like he's some magician or some wizard and just fix all the situations that we're going through without having to go through them. But the reality of it is, man, is that ain't always how things go. And so many people, man, turn their back on God because God doesn't answer their prayers and their cries the way they would want him to. One of the things that I've learned about God is that he is always on time. And he always shows up when it matters the most. I'm walking through life right now, man, with a heavy heart because a lot of things that are going on around me, a lot of things that are going on inside of me. But the reality of it is I'll never lose hope. Because God has shown himself to be faithful. God has shown himself to be worthy. God has shown himself to always come through. I didn't know how he would. So today, I encourage you that regardless of what you're going through, the heaviness that you're walking through life with right now, don't lose hope in a God that has already proven himself to be faithful. Don't lose hope in a God that has already shown himself to be worthy. Do not lose hope in a God who has proved that, you know what, he can do anything but fail. A God that has proved that all things are possible with God. That has proved that I will never leave you nor forsake you, even until the end of time. See, God has already proved all he needs to prove in my life. That no matter what comes my way, no matter what I might face, I'm going to stay hopeful. So I love you, and I'm praying for you. And I ask that you would do the same for me. Don't lose hope, because God is still paying attention and hearing your cry. Heavy, but hopeful. I pray that this blesses somebody today that is ready to lose hope, ready to throw in the towel, and ready to give up. Don't do it, because you might be right on the edge of your breakthrough. Amen. God bless you. God keep you. In Jesus' mighty and precious name.